So today I'm gonna present about the Vietnam War. So what is it about? It is about how the Vietnamese Vietnam communists won the battle in the 19th century against their stronger opponent, the U.S., by using traditional tactics and because of an unexpected event that happened in America. Why is it interesting? Because I thought this would be an interesting topic because it reminds me of the history of my country, in which I haven't fully known of. Therefore, give me an opportunity to look more closely to the history of Vietnam. Um, Furthermore, as an international student, here's another way for me to help the domestic students learn about the history of my country. So what have I found? Um, an article called Vietnam War Tactics by Dylan. The article talks about how Vietnam won because of the battleground in Vietnam and the media in America. What I expected to find out the reason why Vietnam uh, win the battle against America using the battleground and the involvement of the media. Um, so like the battleground in Vietnam, there's Củ Chi tunnel system, um, which is located outside Ho Chi Minh City. Um, so like it is a sanctuary for the soldier and a place for them to prepare for an ambush. So the tunnel covered over 250 kilometers, which is 155 3 miles, up to 10 meters below ground, and the tunnel were only 2 feet wide by 2 feet tall. Then there's Ho Chi Minh Trail. Um, the Ho Chi Minh Trail, or the Blood Road, was created to help soldiers get from the north to the south. The trail was named after Ho Chi Minh because it was built on his birthday. The trail helped a million Vietnamese soldiers travel to the south of Vietnam despite the aggressive air attacks. For soldiers to travel, it takes 1,006 wait, 16,000 kilometers from the north to the south, facing continuous American bombing. It would take a soldier 6 months to accomplish the journey. So there are traps um, in the battleground. Um, Although traps were considered less deadly, they could be quite menacing. So there were 3 types of traps: punchy stake pit, punchy punchy stake pit, punchy bear trap, and side closing trap. Um, so the punchy stake pit and punchy bear trap, these two are the same. Holes were dug inside the holes. Sticks were covered with feces and infectious things. To hide the holes, leaves were used to cover up so the holes couldn't be seen. So leaves were used. Well, um, so like when a soldier walked by, this one, his leg would stick down, and the board would be right here. Punchy sticks would stick to his legs and like get his legs from like beneath. Um, the side closing straps are a little bit different. There was a large hole covered by a piece of wood. In the center of the piece of wood, there was another piece of wood that acted as a voting point. When the weight was put on one end of the plank of wood, it rotated quickly, dropping the person into the hole. Um, so there were landmines and tripwires, bouncing Betty, toad popper, and trip wire. The bouncing Betty was an explosive that could be triggered um, with the release of pressure or a tripwire. The most common was the release of pressure. A soldier could step on the device and it would arm, but it wouldn't be set off until pressure was released. Once pressure was released, a small amount of gunpowder went off, sending the main explosive into the air. So like, and then there's toe popper. Toe popper was a shell, usually of 150 millimeters artillery shell that was buried in the ground with it sticking from the ground. So that would be this picture. It sat on either a nail or a firing pin. When step on, the shell was shot directly into the person's foot. The injury could be increasingly bad if the soldier was wearing a steel-plated boot, because the steel plate was blasted into fragments and it made the injury much worse. Then there's tripwire. Vietnamese, they remove the safety pin from grenades and placing them in tin container so that the safety lever didn't release, and then they set them on a tree or some other solid object just off the ground. Usually they were set across from another grenade on a path and connected by a wire. When a soldier tripped the wire, the grenade would pull from the container and detonated. Um, so another factor that helped Vietnam win the Vietnam War was the media. Um, at the end of 1960, the media started to get involved and they leaked the gruesome footage of the fight. During 1960 to 1964, the news about the war began to show on every television in every American family. Soon after, a guy named Barry Zertorian, who was asked by the United States Mission and Military Assistance Command, showed up to deal with the daily news. Sorry. He made the news say good things about the American in Vietnam. In some channels, the title was labeled "Good Guys Shooting Reds," but the situation was soon changed. In 1968, the media started to hide the Tet offensive, which America won, and mentioned the battles where Vietnam communists took advantage of the situation. As the media showed how ugly the war was, the supporters soon saw the bad stuff in war, and they quit from supporting supporting America. So the picture on the left is Thích Quảng Đức self-immolation portrait Diễm's regrind as a brutal and dictatorial regrind. the media began to influence public opinion in a negative way, and that became a matter of concern to the government. So that would be the protest against Yin. So he's pouring gas on Thich Quang Duc, and then now it's like from far away, so you can't really see anything. So statistics, the number of people died in Vietnam War was 58,000 deaths. There were 26 deaths each day. That's from combat were 47,000. That's from trap and mine were 44,800. Injuries from trap and mine were 7,000. So my working thesis is the Vietnamese forces turn out to be more effective than technologically superior army of the U.S. because the battleground in Vietnam and the media in America.